Today on the Flowering Hearth Cookbook Club, we are making the hand-ripped noodle recipe from Xi'an Famous Foods, a New York institution of a restaurant. Although I've never been, the beauty of cookbooks are you get a taste of the world at home. The hand-torn noodles are used to make the dish biang biang noodle. The name refers to the sound the noodle dough makes when you slap it against the counter while stretching. The noodles are quickly boiled, sauced, and topped with hot oil before devouring. So let's get to the dough. The book recommends using a stand mixer, so I put the flour in the bowl and then combine the water with the salt and slowly pour it in. Once it comes together, you knead it on the counter for about 5 minutes until it's soft and smooth. While that's resting, we'll make the XFF noodle sauce on page 43. In goes the black vinegar, then the oyster sauce, a thick flavorful sauce made from oysters and sugar, some sugar, a 1.5-inch piece of ginger, the Szechuan peppercorn, which have the famous tongue-numbing quality, a few cloves, some black peppercorns, and soy sauce. I realized I only had tamari, but that's a good substitute. Heat the pot on the stove until it boils, then turn it down to a simmer and let it cook for a few minutes. Then completely turn it off and let it sit for 10 minutes before straining all of the things out. They say in the book that they store these chunks of dough in the fridge so they can stretch them to order whenever. I love the idea of having noodle dough at the ready in my fridge at all times. Goodbye, ramen noodles. The dough requires 3 separate sessions of kneading with 5-minute rests in between. After the final rest, I press the dough into a rectangle and cut it into 6 pieces. Flatten the pieces and roll them even thinner, about 1/4 inch thick.
Alright, and then we will put them in the fridge.
And then pop them in the fridge for at least an hour or up to 3 days. I will check back in with the recipe to see what we do after the dough has rested because I am getting hungry. I fill a pot with water and get it warming on the stove. Now I'm going to chop up my aromatics. I have some green onion and Napa cabbage. The recipe says you can also use celery leaves. Now comes the moment of truth when I attempt to stretch the noodles. This is why I love to cook from an expert's book. It's such a great way to learn from home. I love banging these noodles on the counter. It's so fun and I'm feeling extremely official. They are ripping a little bit. I could probably let them rest a little longer, or maybe my shaping wasn't perfect. This is a recipe I could make again and again and continue to refine my technique. You tear the noodle in two and try to keep the ends intact so it's a giant loop. They cook so fast.
I guess they boil 2 minutes.
Take them from the pot directly to your sauce. Ooh, I'm realizing I used the whole batch of sauce and not the 1/4 cup it called for. I recommend fully reading the recipe before beginning to cook, okay? I then heat 1/3 cup of rice bran oil. The recipe calls for vegetable, but any neutral oil probably works. And then pour it over the onions, garlic, and spice till it sizzles and releases its flavor. Stir it up and enjoy.
I love to make stuff out of cookbooks because it's like having a really talented chef over to make a meal for you that you would never put together the spices or the sauces or any of the things. And I just like learn so many things that I can take back into my own cooking. Like I never would have known how to make this type of noodle and how to put together the sauce like this. So this is delicious. And I feel like I just had a guest chef over at my house to make me a meal.